Hey guys, and welcome to another brand new video. In this video, we're going to be talking about a pretty big thing that's been floating around the internet these past few days. Now, as I'm sure you guys probably know, the PlayStation 5 Pro is basically imminently about to be announced. Now, we're going to find a little bit more details on like prices and proper specs, although we know most of the leaks and I guess the rough guesstimate of how much it's going to cost. Right around like $700 or so, give or take. Now, when it comes to this stuff, a lot of people are now opening up the conversation of, is it even worth the money? Is it too expensive? And also, should you maybe just go get a PC instead? So we're gonna mainly go talk about the fact of like the PC upgrade, the price point of that, and if it's overall kind of worth it. And I will maybe go and talk about like the actual overall worth, maybe a little bit closer towards launch or just in the near future. But I do want to go and make this video pretty much specifically talk about the fact that the PS5 Pro actually might be a better option, even in comparison to a brand new PC, even at the same exact price range. Now we're gonna talk about this because a lot of the times people say PCs are overall better and sometimes more cost efficient. And I want to kind of go and break that down and kind of talk about some stuff and give my thoughts and opinions on it, because I do actually think the PS5 Pro is going to be worth buying, especially if you don't already have a PS5. And as well, I do think it's going to be very, very hard, if not almost impossible, to go beat that with the same price point with a personal computer. So let's go talk about this. Make sure you guys are subscribed with the notifications on. I kind of want to give away a PS5 Pro when it comes out too as well, so make sure you guys are subscribed for that. We have the Twitter and Twitch stream down below in case you guys like to go and follow, and let's go and dive on into the video itself. So as you guys have probably had a chance to go and see, we've now kind of talked about this leak and rumor and expected price point of the PS5 Pro. Now, this is not confirmed. This is not official. We've just talked about it, but it does kind of line up a little bit in terms of price points. We see the PS5 at around the $400 to $450 price point as of right this second. So you expect better GPUs, better CPUs, better everything inside the internal stuff, better APUs, new supply, like supply and demand, all that stuff. $700 is not that unrealistic. Now, I do want to go and say, though, it might be a little bit more, it might be a little bit less. We'll have to see. We don't know officially, but that's kind of like the expected price. So either way, $700, let's just use that as like the metaphorical price. And as well, what do we kind of want to go and expect of like what would be running for a $700 PC and all of that? So I do want to go say high level. I do think the PS5 Pro will be worth it, especially over a PC. Why? And once we get to like more of the specs too, I'll explain it even more. But my thoughts: the PlayStation 5 Pro will be optimized specifically by many different major games, such as even looking at, say, like Wukong, looking at other various games like Call of Duty. Ideally, all of these games will be even more fine-tuned with extra funding, extra research, and as well, specifically made for consoles to run better, to be more optimized, and all of that. Same with the also PlayStation AI, like basically involved into it too, with the PSSR. And we're looking at this stuff, it seems like it'll be a more of a niche product for gaming that is going to be right. And I'm with this. Like, I'm 100% cool with this, because I do think that's true. Like, the PlayStation 5 or even the Xbox Series X is a fantastic value compared to what you can maybe get from a PC. Now, I want to go and show you guys some like kind of quickly specs of this. Right now on the current PS5 GPU, it's kind of just over here in a nice PC guide, but like what this would be the equivalent of how if you were to buy a PS5, say like the equivalent for PC. So basically the RTX 2070 is probably the best mainline like equivalent we can say for the current PS5, not even PS5 Pro, by the way, not even PS5 Pro, which is actually arguably meant to be 45% of a better GPU as well. But this is just what we already have right now, so I can show you guys specifics. Current PS5 is equivalent to the RTX 2070, give or take. Obviously like PCs, you can do a little bit more. Like you can go on like YouTube easily, you can go upload videos, edit stuff, like go on Facebook and casually like scroll through whatever. Like there is a little bit more to a PC, don't get me wrong. Like I acknowledge that, but if you're talking purely on gaming or purely for like disposable income, like this is why we talk about it. So if you even look for a lot of the 2070s right now, they're usually around, let's just say $300, give or take. You're gonna have a little bit of tax involved, like you're gonna have to do whatever. These are like renewed too as well, so these are older cards, but like just for very easy numbers, 2070 is around $300. You can sometimes get a little cheaper, a little bit more, whatever it might be, but let's just say $300. How much is the PS5 already at this point? Just baseline PS5, around $450. We factor in like deals or bundles, whatever, you know how it might be. So basically at that point, you're almost spending the entire PS5 just on the GPU itself. Now, why is this even like being brought up? Because we're talking about the PS5 Pro. Well, that's because don't forget the PS5 Pro itself is going to be better. Like if you look at all these stats and all these things, like you're supposed to have all these various price points, or as I keep on looking at this as pictures of reference, but like some people are saying it's going to be like a lot. Like, you know, like they're like, hey, is this gonna be like meant to be sold for PC gamers? $700 is a lot to ask when the PS6 is probably just a few years away, which is a completely separate topic, don't get me wrong, but like it makes sense. Like, you have a GPU that's currently actually 45% better than these GPUs over here. Let's just put that maybe like a $350, $400 price range, because some of the GPUs like the 3000 series or even 4000 series, which are getting a little bit on the dated side even as of right now, that'd be around that expected price point. You get like a 3060, 3070, whatever it might be, 2080, etc. That does cost a little bit more money. So just off of the GPU alone, I would go and say, especially let's say the digital edition exists, that's pretty much like over half the value of the console as is, with that on top of it having brand new features, extra controllers, you have the internal SSDs, you have the CPUs, etc. Like, you basically have your own mini computer inside the PS5 Pro. Now, I understand some people already have a PS5. They don't want to make that leap. Totally fine. I understand maybe some people may want to wait for the PS6. We don't really know that much leaks or rumors on it whenever, but I'm sure it will come out in maybe like 2 to 4 years, give or take, just how the console markets are. If they also want to wait for that, that's also fine. But I do think for someone who's never actually either had a PC already or has never had a PS5 already, the PS5 Pro is actually maybe worth getting, because it just seems really hard for the stats to kind of be correspondent with that. And a lot of people even kind of starting to call us off a little bit, saying, hey, you have like this $700 price point. How are we going to go and compare this with PCs? Because you can technically build the PC for $700. But the issue is it actually going to be good? And in theory, probably not. That's why I'm using the GPU example. Because like I said, you have to have a CPU, you have to have an actual SSD, which still costs money, a hard drive, etc. You have to go and actually have a RAM. You have to have like a case for it. You have to buy a keyboard and mouse, which that's kind of why I mentioned the controller. That was equivalent either way. And even with all that, an $800 PC is not going to really be that good. Mainly, once again, because it's not utilizing things like the PlayStation AI and super sampling machine learning. Specific game companies are not fine-tuning the games for your console. So think about things for like, say, Spider-Man, God of War. Those games can still run quite well on PCs that are like $1,000. Don't get me wrong. Like, it's not horrible. But it definitely will be running more efficient and a better price point on your PlayStation 5, let alone the PlayStation 5 Pro. And once again, I do think it's actually kind of worth it. Now, we've been kind of seeing some discourse around this, kind of like from like Linus Tech Tips, and some people bring this up, where they might be able to go and be like, hey, like we could probably beat this, hey, we could probably roll with this, or whatever it might be. But the issue is you also just don't, like, it's just not easy to do. Like, I don't mind consoles, and I like it. You know, I like the idea of consoles. I think there's always going to be a place for it too as well. But some people are also saying like the price points are insane. Like, being like, oh my god, the PS5 Pro is pretty insane for $600. I think if you want to compare that to a PC, it's actually not that bad of a value. Now, we still have to wait for the official specs, as I've mentioned, and we don't know the official price point, as we mentioned, but these are just like the rumors or expectations or whatever. But we know enough of the leaks to make that somewhat informed decision. And I do want to say it is expensive. Like, if you already have a PS5, unless you get a really good trade-in value, it is rough. And as well, PC does have cool stuff, like Steam, like you having maybe PC Game Pass, which is slightly better than Xbox Game Pass. Like, there is benefits of it. And you also do get all these games for, like, you know, for PC, like later on, like a year or two later. We've been seeing Sony doing it. Look at Helldivers even, you know? Look at Final Fantasy 16, even for Square Enix. So, like, it still is okay to get a PC, but I'm going to say strictly, purely, if we're talking at a pure $700 price range, I'd probably get a PS5 Pro instead. With all the factors I mentioned, if you don't already have a PS5 and you don't already have a PC, I would probably say if you really like gaming and you also have friends spamming your consoles, a lot of what ifs, but let's just say you really like gaming, you want to check out the games, I think a PS5 Pro would be fine. You can play pretty much every big game, Apex, Call of Duty, Fortnite, Rocket League, all the brand new exclusives on it. It'll be running very well. And as well, just the cost basis is good. Because don't forget, AMD and all these really big companies, they mass produce these cards. They make smaller margins than they would for selling individually to like Micro Centers or people just by themselves, because they'll go make 50 million consoles in a few years, like the PS5, and then with that, they're going to be making money over time. It's kind of like we'll go make $100 per console rather than $200 per chip, because they're going to be making 50 million of them, so a long term will keep the contract. And that also has them have special technology built into the cards themselves with special specifications and also better specs, with companies also working entirely for it to make it work better. Now, once again, I have a nice PC. I have like a 3080 Ti. I'm happy with my PC. So I don't mind if people join the PC Brotherhood. We welcome you with open arms. And I think there's a lot of benefits for it. Like, you can learn how to edit videos. You can make YouTube videos. You can play games, play World of Warcraft, whatever. You can play a lot more on your PC. So there's other benefits. Also open up like Microsoft Word and get some Google Docs going. But at the same exact time, I do think on all the things I mentioned, if you don't have a PS5 or don't mind trading on in, the PS5 Pro actually does seem like a pretty good value for what you're getting. And I do think price point, it's actually very hard to compete with that with a proper PC. So I want to hear your thoughts and comments on everything down below. Do you think it's too expensive? Do you think it's not worth it? Do you guys rather have just a PC itself? Which I'd probably say just maybe spend a little bit extra money, like maybe like $1,200. You probably have a pretty goated PC that'll last a very long time. But at $700, I do think probably by the console itself, probably a little bit more of a better value. Subscribe if you guys are new, Twitter and Twitch room down below, and I appreciate y'all for watching.